We are here with the high school Dems, and we are very excited that we are live streaming on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. I am not going to talk very long. I'm going to turn it over to our youth that are here while we let everyone stream in. I think Charlotte's going to start us off.
Hi, everyone. As people keep rolling in, my name is Charlotte Kirpin. I'm the National Chair of the High School Democrats of America. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm on Matinacock land. And for those of you who are confused with what I just said, here at HSDA, we like to do a land acknowledgement in order to respect Indigenous peoples. And so, yeah, I'm on Matinacock land. Lily, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Molesky. I use she, her pronouns, and I am also on Matinacock land. I am the vice chair of the New York High School Democrats. Kieran.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kieran. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the chair of the New York High School Democrats, and I as well reside on Matinacock land.
So first, we just want to thank you all so much for coming. Obviously, this is going to be an amazing event that we're super excited for. And so basically, I'm going to explain a little bit about how it's going to work. So if you have used the Zoom Q&A feature before, that's what we're going to be doing. So at the bottom of their screen, there should be a little button that says Q&A. So basically, you're going to use that to ask your question. And we're going to ask that when you do click that button and you put your question in, that you specify if you would like to ask the question live or not, just to make sure that we're doing whatever people are most comfortable with. Obviously, if you don't want to speak live, that's completely fine. You can just put the normal Q&A. But if you do want to speak live, just put that in a little parentheses so we know and we can bring you on. So basically, we really wanted to emphasize that this event is not just about Andrew Yang, but it's also about youth in politics in general. And here at HSDA, obviously we're an entry point to democratic politics for youth activists, and we are officially affiliated with the DNC, but I think that it goes so much farther beyond the High School Democrats of America. I think that right now, in our current political climate, it is so important that youth are getting involved in politics. And it's not just about, what your specific beliefs are or where you are or what kind of family you're from or, your wealth or anything like that. It's really just making sure that your voice is being heard. We want to make sure that this new administration and, all elected officials and political officials are being really future focused, because that's why it's so important that the youth are involved in politics today, because of this future-focused thinking. And when the youth get involved now, it's going to ensure that the policies are reflecting what we want. And really, it's going to make sure that the people's voices are heard. And there's really no downside to getting involved in politics. There's no downside to being educated. Even you don't have to go as far as to, run for office yourself or anything like that. But if you're just taking a second and looking and educating yourself and making sure that you know what's going on and making sure that people around you are correctly informed, that's a really, really important step. And what's so interesting about this generation and the way that we are involved in politics is that we have so many different avenues that is now available to us. So now it's not just, you read the newspaper and you learn a little bit and maybe you tell one of your friends, but you can really have all of the information is really at your fingertips. So you find what you need to know. And then it's not just posting it on social media. It's not just telling a friend. We all have our big bubbles. So maybe you say something to a teacher, or you help educate someone when they say something that doesn't exactly sound right. Or, we're influencing our parents and all of our communities, really. And basically, this means that now more than ever, youth voices are carrying. And when they're carrying, it's not just impacting, the people that are in your direct circle, it's impacting the world. And that's why youth right now in politics is so much, it's so impactful, and we're really starting conversations. And when we start these conversations, it's up for elected officials to end them and to make sure that they are reflecting what we are saying in their policies. Like, we can look at what's going on right now. Like, if we look at the Standing Rock youth who are doing a 93-mile run to shut down the Dakota Access Pipeline, that's something that they're really dedicating themselves and making sure that their voices are being heard and making sure that President Biden and elected officials everywhere hear them. And I think that that's one of the most important parts about not only America, but the New York City mayoral campaign as well. So Lily, I'll pass it over to you to talk a little bit about, New York City and why it's specific to New York high school Dems.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Charlotte. I first wanted to thank everyone that came on today. It means a lot to us at New York High School Democrats and just High School Democrats as a national organization. Like I said, my name is Lily Molesky, and I'm the vice chair of the New York High School Democrats. Through the work me and Kieran have done in the past couple months as chair and vice chair, I have seen the importance of youth engagement in every election, and the race for New York City mayor is absolutely no exception. It's really important to get involved and fight for the change that you want to see. And for example, the virtual options we're going to offer at the end of this town hall, it is very, very, very possible to make a difference no matter where you are, whether you live in the city or you're like me and Kieran in Charlotte here in Long Island, or not even from New York. You can help be part of the change. In the midst of this pandemic that has upended everybody's lives, a transition of power is going to be seen in one of the hardest hit cities in the country, New York City. And the mayoral race in New York City is more than just an election. It's an opportunity for groundbreaking change and reform to be made. With current New York City Mayor de Blasio's third term coming to an end and over a dozen candidates running to fill his seat, it is really important to learn what each candidate brings to the table, which is exactly why we're here today. Hopefully for all our attendees, this conversation will motivate you to get involved if you haven't already, and we'll detail how to do so both in the New York High School Democrats and the Yang campaign at the end of this event. And with that said, I'll pass it over to Kieran, who will talk a little bit about phone banking and just also introducing our guest of honor.
Hi, everyone. I already introduced myself before, but I'm Kieran, and I am the chair of the New York High School Democrats. And I also just kind of want to quickly echo what Charlotte and Lily previously said. It's not enough to just kind of talk about politics as a young person. We have to actively involve ourselves as people who are not able to be part of the voting process. And that kind of manifests in phone banking, in conversations like this, in making sure that our voices are heard in a forum where we kind of dictate what we can, because young people are not always welcome in the political space. And quite frankly, they're almost never welcome and their opinions are almost never validated. So it's really important that we ourselves validate our opinions, and we invite elected officials and those in politics to listen to what we have to say. So with that being said, it's my honor to kind of give a little bit of background information on our guest of honor, Andrew Yang, running for New York City mayor today. So just quickly, some background information. Mr. Yang has been a resident of Manhattan for 25 years and is a husband and father of 2 young boys. For the last 6 months, Mr. Yang has been campaigning for previously candidate Biden and now President Biden. And shortly after the election occurred, he went down to Georgia to work with the Senate runoff candidates. And clearly, Mr. Yang's work had a profound effect on those campaigns, because all of those were very successful. And we now have full control in Washington. Outside of kind of that work, Mr. Yang has spent a career advocating for cash relief in Congress and has even facilitated cash payments in the Bronx. And kind of more specifically to what he's running on as a candidate for New York City mayor now, Mr. Yang's really focusing on reducing and helping to kind of get rid of or minimize poverty as much as possible in the city and kind of modernize the government and economy. And the way in which he's most known for doing that is his pilot program of the universal basic income and a lot of other kind of modern and really groundbreaking economic ideas that Mr. Yang can bring to the table. We're so excited that Mr. Yang is someone who's demonstrated work with young people in the past, as when he was working in Georgia, he actually even partnered with the High School Democrats of Georgia to, get the vote out and work with those Senate Democratic candidates. So without further ado, it's my great honor to introduce today's guest of honor, our special guest, Andrew Yang, candidate for New York City mayor.
Thank you, Kieran. Thank you, Charlotte and Lily as well. Thank you to all of the high school students who are here in attendance. Hopefully this is a massive upgrade over whatever else you can zoom into during the day. Like, let me think. I guess your school day might be just about over. I love young people. And Kieran, you were talking about how politics is not that welcoming to young people. I certainly hope you all don't feel that way, because I know for us, young people were among the best, most energetic and productive volunteers and activists that we saw on the presidential campaign. You all are the future. When I was running for president, I actually championed a proposal. I'm going to try it out on you guys, see if you like it. I think we should lower the voting age from 18 to 16. And here are a couple of good arguments. Number one, you start paying taxes at 16, so you should have a say in where they go. You can drive a car at 16. And studies have shown that the earlier your first vote is, the more likely you are to vote throughout your life. So if you could vote at age 16, then all of a sudden every American high school would become a hotbed of political activity because you can actually vote. What do you all think?
I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think that it's really, it's really nice and settling to hear that someone who is running for New York City mayor really cares about the youth, and lowering the voting age to 16, in my opinion, is like something that is really important. And it's something that the high school Democrats have fought for in the past. And I see people in the chat, agreeing with me. I think that would be amazing, and for you to champion that legislation would be super, super impactful.
Yeah, I would love to see it come to pass. Because the fact is, right now, our electorate skews old. It's not a knock. It's just, more or less math. But because the electorate skews old, it also means our policies skew kind of old. And that's not great. You all are going to inherit this planet. You're going to inherit this country. You should have a say in what the heck is happening. So I just want to applaud each and every one of you for taking an interest in your future. We have left you an awful mess. I'm sorry. I personally had relatively little to do with it. But I see myself as part of the cleanup crew. But you all are going to have to be your own biggest cleanup crew. I mean, like that's the truth of it. And the folks who are here and engaged today are already taking on that both challenge and opportunity. And we need you. We need you in the worst way possible. I genuinely think that if we put you in charge of everything, things would work better very, very quickly, because you all would just have common sense and say, hey, why don't we do it this way? One of the tough things about getting older is you learn a lot about why things can't happen in a particular way. Like that, there are all of these systems and institutions that have been built up for years and years and years. And in some cases, those institutions have been built that way for very good reason. But in some cases, those reasons might have shifted, but the institution might not have had to adapt or evolve. And that is true in a lot of different industries, a lot of different environments. The rate of change is speeding up more and more. And one of the things I've observed about your generation is that no one can fool you. It's like you actually can see and access a lot of things that give you a very, very sophisticated understanding of what's going on in the world. So one of the things I would encourage in you all is that anytime someone seems to suggest that you don't understand, you should know that you probably do understand. That the person in question, I think might just have like a different frame of reference from like a different time period. Because from what I've seen from your generation, like you all actually get it at a very, very deep level. And if you were to have your preferences met on things like climate change or education or the cost of education, or the design of our criminal justice system, or like a lot of other things, like you would have it more correct than a lot of the things that currently exist. So really indebted to everyone here for wanting to make a change. I want to fight for you all. I want to fight for your generation. I do think it's deeply immoral, the reality that you all are inheriting. And no, I guess I'll try and impart this too in like a particular way. So if I'm you all, I look up and be like, wow, things aren't working so well. Has it always been this way? And then you look up and say like, huh, like some of this seems kind of recent. And then you look around and wonder, it's like, well, why is it that some of the systems or bureaucracies don't seem to be functioning at as high a level as we'd like? Right now, the frustration would be around the vaccine. You all are probably the absolute last in line to get the vaccine because you're like the lowest risk humans there are. I suppose there could be someone slightly lower risk than you. But a lot of people are frustrated about the vaccine right now. And in many ways, the challenge for your generation is going to be how to try and get systems to work better. Because like right now, our systems are not performing at a very high level. You're seeing different forms of institutional struggle and failure right and left. And as a young person, it'd be very easy to get a little bit jaded, even when you're young, and think to yourself like, well, hey, like, this doesn't seem to be working so great. The difficult challenge that you all have is to somehow to take an existing system that does something very important and try to improve on it in various ways. You're going to end up with that responsibility sooner than you might think. It's a responsibility I think I may inherit as the mayor of New York City. It's something I've had some exposure to in different environments. And there is like the stuff in the abstract, like the way that you imagine it should work. And the way you imagine it should work, I'm just gonna go on a limb and say for the most part, you probably have it like directionally accurate. And then you get into the reality and you're like, wow, like this maybe doesn't work quite like that. And then the question is, how do you actually like nudge it in the right direction while honoring the work that is being done? Because there are a lot of folks who are doing work within these systems every day who are also frustrated. Like they look up and say like, hey, I came here a while ago to do certain things, and like maybe some of it I haven't been able to do because of various rules or constraints. So this is, to me, the fundamental challenge of our time, is to wed your sensibilities and vision as to how the future should look with our existing systems. And one thing, again, I'm just going to say is like, we should be upgrading our systems in various ways to be more adaptive. One thing would be to have you all have the ability to vote. Another would be, in my view, some form of economic resources that flow into your hands that you can do whatever you want with at a certain age. Like that's something that I fought for when I was running for president. And we need to try and put you in positions of genuine responsibility relatively early on. Like I do not believe in hierarchies of experience in that way. I mean, is experience valuable? Sure. In some contexts, yes. But can someone show up who has the right energy and attitude and aptitude, and that they can contribute at very, very high levels beyond, their age or experience level? 100% or 1,000% yes. And again, like I've seen it myself over and over again, where a young person shows up at a, let's say, political campaign and just kicks ass, and then ends up with like tons of responsibility very early on. So I'd urge some of you watching this right now to test that out. That if you do end up volunteering on a campaign, I can just about promise you that if you perform at a high level, you'll get more and more responsibility. And it's one of the magical entrepreneurial things about these political campaigns is that that experience doesn't matter so much as soon as you prove yourself. And if you prove yourself, then you can find yourself in positions of incredible reach and impact very, very early on. So thrilled to be here with you all, high school Democrats. Thank you for having me. And have you take some questions. I hope that was at least somewhat interesting and useful.
Yes, it definitely was. And it's awesome to hear from someone who's so well known and so well regarded in the political space to really express so much value in the voices of young people. And it's really kind of a refreshing thing to hear. So the first question that we're going to take is from Emily Arker. And I think Erica, yes. So Emily, you can ask that live when you're ready.
Hi. My question is, did you have a political interest from a young age? And if yes, how did that play a role in determining your future?
Hi, Emily. Well, I was certainly not like you all. Like I don't think I was a member of the high school Democrats. I was interested in politics as like an observer, but I never thought I'd run for office. That is for sure, because I was introverted as a kid. I'm the child of immigrants myself, and at least in my household, the message was not go into politics. That wasn't the message I was getting. But I always had an interest in politics, in part because I had an interest in history. I really liked history growing up, and politics and history seem to intersect. I really loved U.S. history. I loved the 60s and the civil rights movement. But I never thought I would get into politics in the way that I have, that is for sure. And I can prove it by she's not here, but you can ask my wife, Evelyn. She definitely never would have dated me and then married me if she thought I was going to get into politics. she definitely, so it's one reason why I owe her like a million times over. I hear Valentine's Day is coming up. I should probably try and do something nice. Yeah, like I didn't know I was going to head this direction when I was young. So if you know you want to head in this direction now, like, again, I'd urge you to volunteer for a campaign because you can get a lot of exposure, Emily. You can find out what the ins and outs are, and hopefully do a lot of good.
All right. So we have our next question now, and our next question comes from Claire Odia, and it is, what influenced your decision to run for mayor, especially coming from a presidential run?
Well, thanks for the question, Claire. I'm running for mayor for one reason, and that's that I think I can help. New York City is in a deep, dark hole. At least I think one of you is in New York. It's a very, very tough time. So I'm a numbers guy. So some of the numbers that have stuck in my head, 27,000 of our friends and neighbors and loved ones' lives have been lost. Over 500,000 infected. Over 700,000 missing jobs. Over 60 million missing tourists. Subway ridership's down 70%. 300,000 people have left the city. Over 10,000 small businesses have closed, with more joining them. So this is a very, very difficult time, and I'm running for mayor because I think I can help speed up our recovery. I think I can help get New York City back on its feet faster. And I'm someone who's attracted to when I can do a lot of good. I'm actually going to go on a limb and say that if New York City was in fantastic shape, I might not be running. But New York City is in the midst of a crisis, and I think I can help. What does that say about me? I don't know. Hopefully it's like it's a positive motivation that people can understand.
That's definitely an amazing answer, though, because I think that, someone who wants to be a politician and an elected official to make change, that's the person who's going to get the most work done. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, thank you, Charlotte. Like, I'm not really motivated by like climbing a theoretical ladder. I'm just trying to do as much good as I can,
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so our next question is from Ariane, and she says, how do you think that campaigning this year will be affected with the recent implementation of ranked choice voting? And has this affected your campaign strategy?
Well, thank you, Charlotte. I love ranked choice voting, and I hope that the high school Democrats in attendance all embrace ranked choice voting, because I think it could be one of the ways that we reduce the nastiness and the negativity and the polarization. So ranked choice voting, at least theoretically, should make everyone nicer because you want someone to vote for you second, if not first. And if you're negative, then not only does the person you're negative to look bad, but then you look a little bad too. So in theory, it should make us all nicer to each other. I hope that happens. I like most of the other candidates myself. I think ranked choice voting will play to my strengths because it will reward positivity, and I think I'm a positive guy. But I'm a huge proponent of the potential of ranked choice voting to help reduce the gridlock and negative incentives in politics. And so if you're watching this and you don't know what ranked choice voting is, please do check it out. But this group, the High School Democrats of America, could be a very, very big force behind getting ranked choice voting adopted in more states in the country. So it got adopted in New York City, yes, but it also got adopted in Maine and Alaska. And there are another 23 states where all it takes is like a bunch of signatures and you can get ranked choice voting on your state ballot. So that sounds like a fun project for you, for someone watching this. Let's do it, ranked choice voting everywhere, and then everyone can be nicer to each other. Doesn't that sound appealing? So yeah, that's my hope, is that like we can be nice during this race, this year in New York.
Yeah, that's amazing. I 100% agree with everything you said. I think it decreases a lot of the kind of toxicity in politics and the this or that. I think it kind of highlights the idea that there's no right or wrong in the political space and in the political arena. There's just kind of different levels of what you personally view as right or wrong, and your view on what might be better than something else, and what kind of I guess it allows you to create like a gauge. And I 100% agree with everything you said. So the next question is coming from Kyle Sinet, and I think he said he could ask this one live.
Kyle?
Yes, hi.
Hey, Kyle.
So I guess my question is, obviously New York is struggling when you're seeing a lot of small businesses going out of business. So what steps would you take to help these businesses recover?
Thanks, Kyle. I used to run a small business in New York City myself, so I feel their pain very deeply. The first thing you have to do is try and make it easier for businesses to stay open. So right now, a lot of these businesses are restaurants. We should be buying heat lamps and dividers and air filtration systems in bulk so that you get like a cost saving. And then you actually help provide them to businesses that are trying to make it work. We should have a moratorium on some of like the regulations and fines that are keeping some of these businesses from being able to continue to keep their doors open. And then when it's time to get them to reopen, we're going to need to show up to each business and try and work something out with the landlord where they actually have the ability to reopen their doors at a lower rental rate until their business recovers at a certain level. We're going to try and help them with reopening costs, because it's not going to be enough just to say, okay, we'll get out of your way. We're actually going to need to try and provide some resources and help to these small business owners. They're only going to reopen if they see a path to success. And if you have empty storefronts in New York City, it's hard to get foot traffic back. You have to try and tackle one or the other first. And to me, the storefronts make more sense, because if you don't have the storefronts, even if you get foot traffic, like, it's not going to work. So I'm going to have an office of small business recovery. I'm going to have a czar in charge whose job it is to help over 10,000 small businesses reopen as quickly as possible, because those businesses are the lifeblood. A lot of these neighborhoods and streets, they provide most of the jobs. They provide most of the services people enjoy. So we're gonna have to get in there. We have to roll our sleeves up, and we're gonna have to bring money and equipment. Right now, when I talk to small business owners, they say the city only shows up to see if they're doing something wrong. We have to be a better partner than that.
I totally agree. I think small businesses, especially in New York, just kind of bring the city together, and it makes New York, New York. So I completely agree with everything you said. And I just wanted to thank you so much from all of us for coming on here and talking to us. I think that Erica is going to pop in now, but I think that there's a lot of hope for New York. I think this is a new time. A lot of changes need to be made. And, if you could be the person to do that, I think a sincere thank you from all New Yorkers and people across the country. So thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, Lily, Charlotte, and Kieran, everyone else. If you want to help New York get back on its feet, would absolutely love your help volunteering for the campaign at yangforny.com. You know, you can punch way above your weight class on our campaign, I'm sure, because we need your energy and vitality and enthusiasm to help get New York City back on its feet. So I'd absolutely love your help. And no matter what, please know that you all have a friend in me. I desperately want to try and leave your generation a country and a planet that we could actually be proud of. I'm a parent. I'm not proud right now. You know, like I look at my boys who are younger than you all. They were like 8 and 5, and much less clued in than you all. They're really quite oblivious. But like I look at them and just think like, wow, like, you know, can we actually be proud of what we're leaving you all? And right now the answer is a clear no. So I'm going to do everything in my power to change that. Appreciate the heck out of everyone.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thanks for being here tonight. Thank you, high school.
Can I just pop in? We just want a quick screenshot for our social media.
Oh, sure thing.
Yeah. Charlotte, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Got it.
That's fun. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Not at all. Thank you all. Appreciate the heck out of you. Stay safe out there.
Thank you so much.
So, wow, that was fun. Exciting. Wow, you guys are so impressive. High school Dems. The Gen Z is so impressive when it comes to politics. I just am so excited about our future whenever I hear young folks like yourselves talking. I am just going to express that we are looking forward to having more students involved in the campaign. I've dropped a link in the chat. You can go to yforny.com, the number 4, /S4Y, students for Yang, if you want to sign up and get involved in our campaign. We are going to be doing phone banking and text banking, canvassing, and etc. If you're not in New York City, we can still use your help with phone banking especially. One of my very trusted staff members says regularly, it's important to talk to voters with your mouth. And that just means that you speak to people live and make those relationships happen so that people feel connected, I think, more so. So I just want to thank the 3 of you. You've really helped me feel so good about where our country is going. It's just amazing. And do you have anything else you want to say before we close up?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who came on, to all the HSDA members and others. And if you are not a part of HSDA and you want to get involved, you can go to hsdems.org and you can find all your information about your state, any chapters in your area, etc. on there. So thank you guys so much for coming. We're so appreciative, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to hop in also, kind of just echoing what Charlotte said. Thank everyone for, I thank everyone for coming. This is the first step for a lot of people to getting involved in politics, just like making your voice heard and educating yourself and becoming aware of what's happening. But the next step is always to take action, whether that takes the form of working on the Yang campaign, or it's your own personal legislative advocacy that you want to spearhead, or whatever it is, and whether it's, you know, I guess associated with the high school Dems, or you want to start your own organization, whatever you kind of want to do, it's important to take those action steps and actually capitalize on what you're passionate about. All 3 of us have done a lot of that in high school, and it's an extremely fulfilling an amazing experience to do so. And I highly, highly encourage and suggest that everyone pursues the passion that they are passionate about, and what kind of drives them to want to make change as young people. Because as we said earlier, we don't have the right to vote. So we kind of need to go out of our way to make sure that our voice is heard sufficiently, especially if we want it to be heard. So I highly encourage everyone to take those action steps and to just get involved in politics. And I hope that you guys enjoyed today, and, you know, just kind of learning about someone who is taking the time to connect with young people in a world where we're not always kind of valued at the same level as, you know, the voters that elected officials are kind of want their votes, right? So yeah, I would just say this was an amazing opportunity, and I'm so happy that a lot of you came, and it just kind of move forward from here, taking your action steps.
And thank you so much. I just wanted to also mention that we are going to have another program for high school age voters. Not yet. You're not. When Andrew's president, it will be for sure 16 and over. We are having an event on February 24th at 6 p.m. So stay tuned. Come to our website and make sure you check that out. I'm going to drop a link for that in the chat. So anything else, or are we ready to go?
I think that's it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll hope to see you guys soon.
Hope to see you soon. Thanks so much for everybody for being here. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, YouTube. Bye, Twitter. See you, Facebook.